the answers, tell me the answers. I could find you, I could find
Today we're looking at the new Genesis GV60, here resplendent in a very eye-catching shade of Sao Paulo lime. Now Genesis, here, just in case for those of you who aren't aware, is the sort of the luxury end of the Kia and Hyundai brands. And you might be thinking, well, why am I looking at a small electric SUV? And this is all electric. Well, the Lamborghini Murcielago and the Lamborghini Gallardo from the same generation are the reason that I'm looking at this, because they were both designed by Luc Donkerwolke, and he is now in charge of the design for Genesis. And I have to say, of all the Genesis cars that I've seen so far, I think this is probably the most cohesive design, actually. We've still got the trademark 2 lights here like this, the sort of the stripes that then echoed down at the rear, but overall it's just a sort of a cleaner shape than I've seen before. It's based on the same eGMP platform as the Kia and Hyundai, so that's the Ionic 5 and the EV6, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Whilst we're going past some wheels here, best Genesis wheels I've seen. I wasn't sure about the ones I saw on the first cars, but these look, well, much more interesting and architectural, although they are obviously directional, so I know that really gets some people because they switch from side to side and they're not directional that way to that, you know what I mean. Moving down the side of the car here, we have digital cameras for the wing mirrors. Again, they're fine, they're obviously a bit smaller than you'd have for a conventional wing mirror, but they are still quite large, so yeah, we'll have a look inside at the screens in a minute. The DLO, or daylight opening on the side here, that graphic there does remind me very much of the Kia EV6, and in fact we've got an identical wheelbase of 2,900 millimeters with the Kia. In terms of the powertrain options, so we've got either a single motor or dual motor options. This is the most powerful. This is the all-wheel drive performance one. So we've got a 160 kilowatt motor in the front and a 160 kilowatt motor in the back, which all adds up to 429 brake horsepower overall. However, there is a boost mode which will boost those up to 180 kilowatts each, which is it's up to 483 brake horsepower overall, I think, at that point. And the range is up to 289 miles for this particular version. Battery pack, 77.4 kilowatt hour battery pack, just like the Kia as well. Moving further down the side here, a lightning bolt, which we'll apparently be seeing on all Genesis EVs going forwards, and they're only going to produce EVs from 2025, and the full range will be EV only by 2030. And down at the back, well, we've got the 2 lines there for the rear lights as well, and it's all pretty neat. A big sort of spoiler here because this is meant to be sporty and performance, and there is apparently a hidden drift mode. We don't know any more information about it at the moment, but yes, sporty drifting in a small SUV. Anyway, one other thing I was going to say is that because obviously this is based on, say, a platform which shares with other cars, it sort of means that really it's the design and the interior that make this stand out as opposed to the Hyundai or the Kia. It's a bit like sort of, well, quartz watches, I suppose, to that extent, as opposed to mechanical ones. So we better have a look at the interior as well. One of the things I should have probably mentioned outside is that you can actually gain access to this car via face recognition. Sadly not in European markets, but in certain markets around the world that is an option, as is then obviously fingerprint recognition for starting the vehicle. Anyway, overall the general architecture of this interior is very reminiscent of the Kia EV6 I've driven, with this sort of cantilevered center console here, but whereas that was all sort of straight edges and harsher corners, this, to differentiate it, is the complete opposite. It is very sort of soft, and it's all round edges, and there's obviously an awful lot of silver in here. Sadly it's not metal, it's all plastic, which is Bit of a shame, but there we go. But yes, it's all much more, I suppose, organic shapes somehow in here, and that is, I suppose, typified, personified by this central crystal sphere, which is very cool. It's the centerpiece of this whole interior, really, and it's always backlit when you're parking or charging. Talking of which, this has an 800 volt architecture, and cleverly it can boost a 400 volt input to 800 volts, which means that it'll go from 10 to 80% of battery charge in 18 minutes on a 350 kilowatt charger. Anyway, going back to this central crystal sphere, which makes me think of Richard O'Brien and the Crystal Maze. You press this, it all rotates round and allows you to select reverse neutral drive or back to park. It's a nice little bit of theatre, and yeah, overall it's a pretty good looking interior. What else to say? We've obviously got the two big screens up here, again like the Kia, which, well, touch screens. We've actually got physical buttons down here as well, which is nice in terms of usability, I think. Buttons on the steering as well. We've got drive modes here, and then boost here, because that takes it up to the full sort of 180 kilowatts for the front and rear motors, and means you can do 0 to 62 miles an hour in 4 seconds, which is certainly quick enough for a small SUV, I think you'll agree. And then we've got the regen paddles here, which increases or decreases the regen, which is something I definitely like to see in EVs. We have the screens here for those digital exterior wing mirrors, and yeah, I'm still not sure about them. It adds clutter to an interior, I think, and I don't know, I always find it slightly, like your eyes just take that fraction longer to adjust to looking at a screen than they do a mirror. Perhaps it's just me, but I've noticed it particularly when you get digital mirrors up here. There we are. I'm sure we're still bound to see an awful lot more of them in the years to come. So there we are. Overall, what do you think of this? Do you like it? Is this your new favourite Luke Donkervolker design? Is it overtaking the Lamborghini Murcielago in your affections? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you very much indeed for watching.